You ever read a poem and just get stuck, like you're trying to crack some kind of secret code? Well, let's totally demystify that. We're going to look at poetry not as this impossible puzzle, but as something we can actually build, piece by piece.
I mean, it really can feel that way, right? Like there's some big hidden meaning you're just supposed to get. But what if I told you it's less about secrets and more about a set of tools? Tools that, believe it or not, anyone can learn to use.
All right, so let's dive right in. I want you to think of a poem like it's a building. And in this explainer, we're going to check out the blueprint. The actual plan poets use to construct something that makes their words totally take flight. Okay, so just like any good building, we've got to start with a solid foundation. For a poem, that foundation is all about two things: its structure and the voice that's going to live inside it. This is where we lay all the groundwork. So the most basic building blocks, super simple: lines and stanzas. A line is, well, it's just a single row of words. Easy enough. Now, when you group a few of those lines together, you get a stanza. Think of it like a paragraph in an essay. It's these two things that give a poem its actual shape on the page. Okay, so you've got the structure, now you need a voice. You gotta ask yourself, who is actually talking in this poem? That person or that thing is the speaker. It's the persona the poet creates to tell the story or get a feeling across. And listen, this is a really important point. The speaker is not always the poet. This is where it gets fun. A poet can create a totally separate character to do the talking. It could be a famous person from history, a cat, or even an old dusty chair. And that choice, it completely changes how we experience the poem. All right, our foundation is set. We've got our structure, we've got our speaker. Now it's time for the fun part, decorating. This is where we get into figurative language. These are the tools that let us literally paint pictures with our words. First tool in our toolbox, the simile. You probably remember this one. It's just a comparison between two different things using two magic words, like or as. It's an amazing way to take a big, abstract idea and make it feel totally real and concrete. Now, a close cousin to the simile is the metaphor, but I'd say it's a bit more direct and, honestly, often more powerful. See, a metaphor doesn't mess around saying something is like something else. Nope, it just declares that it is that other thing. It completely closes the gap, creating this instant, powerful connection right in your mind. Let's see this in action, because this makes it super clear. On the left, the simile. My love is like a red rose. Nice, right? It's a comparison. But look at the right, the metaphor. My love is a red rose. See the difference? Feel how much more intense and immediate that is? One is kind of like a suggestion, but the other, that's a full-on declaration. Okay, next up, we've got personification. This is such a cool one. It's when poets give human qualities to things that, well, aren't human. So the wind can whisper secrets, the sun can smile down on you. Maybe a lonely slice of pizza is begging to be eaten. It's a super powerful way to make the world of the poem feel totally alive, because we just get human emotions. And then there is hyperbole. It sounds like a fancy word, but it's really just dramatic exaggeration. I guarantee you use it all the time. Ever said, "I've told you 1,000,000 times," or "this bag weighs a ton"? That's hyperbole. Poets use it to really hammer a point home, or just to be a little funny. Okay, so a poem isn't just about what the words mean, right? It's also about how they sound. We've built the structure, we've decorated it, now it's time to install the sound system to create the music. And trust me, poets think about the sound of their work a lot. And that music really starts with rhythm and meter. The best way to think about this is like the poem's heartbeat. Rhythm is just the natural beat that comes from stressed and unstressed syllables in the words. But when that beat becomes a regular, repeating pattern, that's what we call meter. It's what gives a poem its unique feel, like a fast gallop, a steady march, or a slow, thoughtful walk. And of course, we have to talk about the most famous sound device of them all, rhyme. We all know end rhyme, right? Where the words at the end of lines match. But did you know poets also get sneaky with internal rhyme, hiding rhyming words inside the same line? And that pattern the rhymes make, like ABB or ABAB, that's called the rhyme scheme. All right, now for what is, in my opinion, the absolute most fun sound device, onomatopoeia. What a great word. It's simply when a word sounds exactly like the thing it's describing. It's the most direct way a poet can literally put a sound right there on the page. Yep, exactly. Words like pow, buzz, hiss. You don't just read words like that, you can almost hear them in your head. It's language at its most playful, its most real. It drops you right into the middle of whatever is happening.
Okay, let's take a step back. We've built the structure, we've painted it with all kinds of cool language, we've even given it a soundtrack. Now it's time for the final layer, the emotional atmosphere. This is all about how the poem ultimately makes us feel.
And the number one tool for creating this feeling is imagery. But wait, when you hear imagery, you probably just think visuals, right? Pictures? But true poetic imagery goes way beyond that. It appeals to all 5 of our senses to create a totally immersive experience.
So yeah, a poet can describe the sight of a sunset, but they can also make you hear the rain on a window, smell fresh coffee brewing, taste the salt in the ocean air, or feel the rough bark of a tree. The more senses they can get working, the more real that world becomes for you, the reader.
And finally, let's clear something up that gets people mixed up all the time: the difference between tone and mood. Think of it this way. Tone is the poet's attitude. Are they being serious, sarcastic, or playful? It's how they feel. Mood, on the other hand, is the feeling the poem creates in you. It's the atmosphere of the room. So a poet could use a really sarcastic tone to create a kind of somber mood for the reader. See the difference?
And there you have it. That's the whole shebang. We went from the basic foundation, lines and stanzas, all the way up to the fancy decorations of figurative language, the music, and the final emotional atmosphere. You now have the complete blueprint for how a poem is built. So you see, it's not a secret code after all. It's more like a construction kit, a set of tools. The next time you pick up a poem, you won't be guessing, you'll be able to see exactly how it was put together. And maybe even more importantly, you now have the tools to start building poems yourself. So the only real question left is, what worlds are you going to build?